Okay, we are back again. My earphones, which aren't from Apple, but from the company Intertonic, gave up their power because they were flat.
They gave up the ghost.
Yeah. Oh, we say that in German too. Den Geist aufgegeben.
I wonder if that's where it came from.
I probably think so. So, we were talking about the climate change right-wingers and...
Yeah, I think it seems like at least from my perspective, it seems like over the years they've shifted from saying, oh, climate change isn't happening. Global warming is not a thing. They've shifted from that to, well, it's not a bad thing. It's not going to be as bad as they're saying it is. Because that's becoming more and more undeniable that certain things are happening.
You're right. I have actually not thought about that, and that actually really proves that they're lying. Because if they used to say that it's not happening and now suddenly it is happening, we now know that something is terribly wrong.
Yeah, and now we have documentary evidence that all the American oil companies they knew the science that showed it was happening very early on, like in the 1970s.
Like, how is it showing exactly? I don't understand.
I believe that I think it was documents from ExxonMobil that showed they had scientists who told them that this climate change was happening and getting progressively worse, and that the cause was the use of fossil fuels.
Yeah.
And instead of doing something about their own practices, they decided to just put money into climate denialism for ages.
Well, that's going to work out good, isn't it? That's a bit like
keep them more profitable for a while.
Like...
Yeah, it's symptom management, except it isn't really. It's just like pretending the headache isn't there.
Yeah, really.
No, there's no brain tumor here. That headache that's getting worse isn't really there. It's all in your head.
But what are they gonna do when it really hits? Like, or are they just not prepared to take those risks to avoid this global catastrophe? Like,
I think the folks who own ExxonMobil, I think they are branching out into other uses for petroleum products, like the petroleum products that might go into the construction of hybrid vehicles and electric vehicles.
Oh, they do want to help change.
Well, it's a bit late, but yes, the more financially solvent capitalists, what Caleb calls the ultra rich, that are in charge of the oil banks, they are in a position to actually branch out into other applications for petroleum products. Whereas the lower level fracking company type of capitalists, they've been really hard hit because of the pandemic, for example, and also because of they had to go into debt to build the fracking companies in the first place.
Yeah, no, of course.
And so basically the oil banking tycoons like the Rockefellers, they're just sort of consolidating their hold on the fossil fuel industry, but they're also in a better position to adapt than the lower level fossil fuel industry folks. And so they can adapt to things like the increase in solar panel use, or wind turbine use.
So even though Trump is denying climate change, the companies which are making the climate change are working now against climate change.
Well, they're taking advantage of a greater awareness to shift their business strategy.
What do you mean by that?
So
by the greater awareness, do you mean the greater awareness?
So their strategy has changed from denying climate change at the higher levels. Their strategy has changed from denying climate change to saying, "Oh well, yeah, it's happening, but so we're going to do different things with our industry while the rest of the smaller parts of the industry wither and die." And also we're no one else in the world is allowed to do anything with fossil fuels anymore.
Do you think that was deliberate? That they would wait and make it possible?
I think they were buying time. I think they were buying time at the beginning, yes.
Do you think they made it deliberate to know we could also do this environmental friendly, but we want to wait until most businesses are not allowed to work anymore because climate change has gotten so bad, and they can come then and say, well look, we can produce environmental friendly, and by that killing entire competition?
Yeah, I mean it's likely that was a projection that they made.
Yeah, that makes sense. I haven't thought about that.
Yeah, I think there was a recent congressional hearing that I think they had one of the scientists who used to work for ExxonMobil come in and testify to their knowledge of climate change science at the time that they were just beginning to be aware of it. So they've known that this was happening for a while, but like before the rest of the world did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, officially before the rest of the world knew. Or do you mean they really knew around the 60s already?
Like the late 60s, early 70s, I think it was.
But wasn't that when already globally we started to realize about climate change and everything? With the hippie movement and everything?
I think the science was just beginning to come together.
And now it's perfected.
Yeah.
So now
and
we
now it's very hard.
know that we're going to be
It's hard for them to deny at this point.
So now we can confidently say that we're going to be fucked.
Something like that.
Well, before we weren't 100 perfect on the top-notch analysis. Yeah. Well, I think I don't know, do you even have the climate strike movement in the US?
To some degree. I think
with the blue logo and
the Sunrise movement was an organization that got behind Bernie Sanders for a while.
I'll show you a picture and I'll see if you have that kind of movement. Lima Bewegung. I don't even know if that's a Swiss logo or if it's an international logo. Do you have Fridays for Future?
I don't know.
You probably don't even have that.
I mean, if we have them, it's probably a bit smaller over here.
We have this.
I've never seen that logo before.
Oh, okay. What about That logo. Oh no, I don't want to download it. No.
I mean, I'm familiar with things like the Extinction Rebellion logo.
I have heard of that before, but I don't exactly know what they are.
Yeah,
But here on the right,
I haven't heard of Fridays for Future.
Well, do you remember this stupid picture of shoes? This shoe demonstration?
I remember you sharing a picture like that, yeah.
Haven't I told you about the shoe demonstration and how ineffective, like, well, it's Corona, so we can't go and demonstrate, so we just put shoes there and a few...
I mean, it makes for an interesting photo, which is, you know, an advantage in the internet age.
I mean, like, who's it gonna scratch if there are a few shoes there? Like, is the rich capitalist, which is polluting the air with poisons?
That's actually a lot more shoes than I was expecting.
Yeah, but like, who cares? Shoes are there, great. Like, I mean,
did they buy them from a? Did they like buy them on sale from a store or something?
No. Members gave their shoes. They were collecting them.
Right.
But like,
I mean, that's the idea. But how many of them were just bought on sale?
But like, my point still kind of is that it's ridiculous because what is the point of a demonstration? The point of the demonstration isn't to show, look how many we are. I mean, maybe as well, but mainly, what's that noise? Just someone interrupting my podcast. Fuck's sake! Ow. Okay, so I think it's ridiculous because with demonstrations, you normally would like to meet new people and convince them of your ideas. And then I asked them, well, why don't you do tabling? And then I wrote, and then you are actually at already the point of what a party is doing. So shouldn't you join actually a party or have a party organize you? And I criticized them how this shoe demonstration is very childish because it shows like, we're not allowed to demonstrate, but we're still gonna show that we can demonstrate. It's kind of like that.
I mean, it's kind of a charming publicity stunt, but
it's just to get to the media. It's nothing. I mean, if everyone is sick and at home, who the fuck is gonna look at the shoes? Makes no sense.
Well, they're just gonna look at them on the internet.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Which is, I guess, is the point, I suppose.
And the really strange thing was, like, this climate movement, they're also, like fucking liberal left. They also organized in the neighborhood, like, Corona, buy for people food and such, and... Oh, I thought I had to gonna sneeze, but I'm not. Okay. And like they like feel entitled. Oh, we as the climate movement, we have to look after our citizens and such, and they act like they're a party, but they're not. And I mean, it's so ridiculous because they even had things like, oh, we make online playing evening where you, I don't know, fucking online board games, some shit like that. And I just thought, you know, if you're on your computer, you're not gonna join others to play a fucking board game. You play, I don't know, fucking Heroes and Generals or Chivalry and cut off someone's head. You're not gonna play fucking board games. That's ridiculous. Like,
not a lot of people do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's something really strange, and like strange in a way to have that kind of idea. Like, you don't understand how computers and how the internet really works, what internet culture is and such. Yeah. And it's like the movement is completely studentified. It's incredible. It's like you have kids in this movement. Hang on. And I know some of those people, and they are key figures, and I fucking hate it, because they are the social democratic, no, they call themselves the socialist youth, and they are the youth party of the Social Democratic Party Switzerland, the ones which the communists split themselves off. I know this girl and I fucking hate her. Stupid bitch. Wait, it's sending. Is it sending? It's not sending. Hang on. Maybe my Discord
Yeah, I'm not
crashed.
seeing anything yet.
Your files are too powerful. Try again.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are too powerful.
Oh,
Good.
Discord.
I'll just screenshot the picture. I mean, look how this girl dresses. You can see from 5,000 kilometers that this is a student.
Is this woman in high school, or is she is she in university?
University.
Okay.
I think university, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that one makes more sense.
And you have and they walk around like they're in the 70s, like with those big round Harry Potter glasses. And I have a dance partner, a girl, and she has these big round glasses, and I could tell that's a student just because of her glasses. And it's so obvious. And the sad thing about this is that this fucking studentified movement, you know, they're all for liberal ideas, hate capitalism but don't really do anything about it, bitch around about gendering and whatever, and we need to basically make people equal under capitalism. And then there are anarchists in that movement, and that's exactly this fucking motherfucking shit movement with their consens democracy, which wasted 8 hours of my life and gave me the worst headache I probably ever had. Although maybe last week I had the worst headache ever, I'm not sure. But it was awful. We were 8 hours in this conference. I think I can even find the essay. Or, hang on. Conference. Just a second. Klimastrike. And you know they call themselves climate strike, and all they do is fucking school strikes. So it's like, it's not, hey, we're gonna organize with all those who are working at the airport, and we'll let them strike.
I think we had something like that going around schools in the U.S. as well.
Yeah, but it's like fucking liberals. Fucking liberals. Just a second, I'll find it. I thought it was called conference, but I can't find anything for some reason. Or maybe it was in Lausanne. No. No, I can't find it. But I'll just start explaining. So there was this. Here it is. Here it is. I found it. Probably you can even find me on this picture somewhere. Is this image too powerful? Hope not.
Apparently not.
Good. Fucking hell, if it is, I'm gonna get angry. I would be somewhere at the back right. No, I cannot see myself. Okay. Maybe I wasn't.
Are you standing in the window there? Perhaps?
No. Oh, what do you mean in the back? That's
like
possible.
From my perspective, the left side of the photo has a figure that looks kind of like you in like a dark hoodie.
No.
Or
I wasn't
something.
wearing a hoodie. I was wearing my suit jacket.
Ah, okay.
We were coming as the Communist Party Switzerland. We were an official delegation of them, and no one gave a fuck.
I see.
We extra got permission so we could say that we're the official delegation, and me and my comrade, female friend,
It's a pretty small
wasted.
picture. Let me see if I can get a better look here.
Yeah, I just need to. I mean, I can probably find a better picture. Thing is, I just need to know what it was called.
Okay.
But like, the room was filled with students and anarchists and
I can see that. Yes. Let's see.
like, you don't see any working class here, can you? I can't. Crowd.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I think students are increasingly more working class these days in the sense of at least having a lot of retail jobs.
Dear comrade, conditions are from country to country different. So I
True.
would say here in Switzerland this is not the case.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's a US specific thing. Like students over here, they often have to work through college.
Yeah, and have student debt and stuff like that.
Yes. Student debt.
I wish they had that here, then maybe we would have more working class. But we do have the students, they have to have like a second job or some, like a job
Mm-hmm.
to finance their life, but they get free studentism, like
Like free scholarship stuff.
yeah, they get that
Cool.
for free, but we don't feed them. They have to feed themselves.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't really have a heart for students anymore. I hate them. Most of them. They are.
You're 20, right?
Yeah.
You see, and over here you would be of a student age.
Yeah.
Are you a
Are
student
you a
right now?
student? Am I insulting students right now? Am I insulting you right now?
Well, I haven't been a student for years, but I'm just curious. Are you not a student right now?
I'm not a student not right now, and I will never be a student, most likely, because I decided to work instead.
I see.
And I was too stupid. I would, if I had the choice to be a student, I fucking would. I would be a student, that fuck. Because, I mean, that's fucking wake up at 12 in the afternoon, go a bit into the student university, fuck around, go to a demonstration,
Right.
on the taxpayers' money. But I wouldn't give up my job because IT is gonna give me a lot of money, and I want that money. I don't want to be poor,
Okay.
and I don't want to have poverty problems and such. I mean, I'm not from the richest family, so.
Right. That's
Yeah.
understandable.
But I do have a big computer. But I actually got that from a relative.
Okay. Nice to have generous relatives.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see how the immaturity of students would get frustrating.
Oh, you do.
Yeah.
Because they like infiltrate all movements. They're like, you know how Hitler said like the Jews are infiltrating in everywhere? That's the students here in Switzerland.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
it's
literally they're everywhere. They're in every fucking movement. It's annoying. It's really annoying.
yeah, I mean, if they were being taught more to focus on other people's interests, that would be great.
Well, the problem is they say they are in the interest of the worker, but you have to use gendered language. You you have to be feminist, and in the end they talk about, oh, there are now too many men on the stage. Can please a woman come and talk and stuff like that? And then a fucking incompetent girl comes, which can't even present. And it's like, I mean, I'm not good at presenting, but it wouldn't make sense if you have constantly women on the stage, and just because it should be a man, I, as an incompetent presenter, I don't even know if I'm that incompetent. I haven't performed ever in that amount of people. But if I would go on there and I'm very incompetent, then what's the fucking point? Just so it's a man? I'd rather have someone who presents it good, don't care what colour, what face, what hair colour, what age, what nationality, what ethnicity. I don't give a fuck what gender, as long as they present well.
Excuse me.
Yeah. I actually think I will find a picture of the Climate Congress.
It's funny because I think with age, like I'm in my early 30s now, and I guess I think it's easy when you're younger to get frustrated with other young people.
Yeah.
And I think with a little bit of age, you can maybe learn to be patient and recognize that
I mean, I already
all of their failings and hang-ups and immature behavior isn't entirely their fault.
Well, the problem is the immaturity and childness. I don't think it stops. It just goes into the Social Democratic Party, where they'll fuck on with this crap, and they try to make it more left wing. And
yeah, if they don't learn any better, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and the thing is, in this, what I actually wanted to say with this climate conference, for some reason I can't find any pictures about it. It's like, now am I lost? No, I really only have that picture. I can't find any other pictures. So we were in this room, all students and everything, and first we had like these work groups. We had a work group for fucking climate and science, a work group for, I mean, Default would probably love this system. He probably enjoyed having
I
work.
don't want to bring the drama in here, man.
No, I'm just saying. I think he would probably like that kind of grassroots kind of built up thing. But so it was like that. You had different kinds of work groups, and they discussed certain things, and you had this like agreement system where you would shake your hands in the air if someone says something you agree with. So while, for instance, I'm talking about something and I say something important, suddenly you see people shaking their hands like retarded people, or like maniacs. And if someone disagrees, they would cross their arm, like on their shoulders, like to form an X, and that's how we more or less communicated. And first I thought that was really good, but and what I also had is like you put a finger up if you want to say something, and then you count the other person, which also puts their finger up, as like number 2, something like that. So you have like a super highly organized way of talking to each other,
right.
where fucking you concentrate more on who's gonna talk next instead of actually the content. And yeah, I actually pretty much positively wrote about this, but I did very negatively write in later about this part, where after the small work groups we would sit together in that big room like you see here, and we would vote on things. And with the same thing, when you would shake your fucking hands in the air, that would mean yes. And if only one person does this X thing, it's not accepted.
Interesting.
That means after that, we go back into the work group, discuss these things over, and if one person, one fucking stupid social democrat doesn't want this movement to be anti-capitalist, we can spend 8 hours, which we did, we spent 8 hours in there discussing over the same thing, if it should be anti-capitalist or pro-capitalist.
Wow.
And this really showed me consens democracy is a piece of shit and doesn't work. Fuck the minority for the majority.
I don't think anyone wants things to be decided by unanimous vote unless it's something very, very important.
You mean that where everyone agrees?
Yeah.
Well,
like where it's absolutely important that everybody agree.
Yeah, like, but this didn't work. Like, in some cases you might find a common agreement, but you give... I actually wrote about this. You give this person incredible amount of power. And not just power of saying no and deciding over everybody else, but also you decide over... Hang on, my nose is itching. You decide over... I mean, with this kind of system, people who are there now, while the vote is going on, have a privilege. So if I'm sick, and I disagree with something, and I'm not there to do the fucking X, it doesn't count. So this consens democracy, and I mean, how would that even go over the internet or anything if it doesn't work? Like if you have like a central committee, when someone does in the central committee that stupid fucking X, then you're back again next week discussing the same thing. I mean, that is what I love about democratic centralism. One vote, one discussion, everyone can speak, they can speak their mind out, then you talk about it, you discuss, you vote on it, and after that you don't constantly bring it up each time. You go into solidarity, work on this, and if it doesn't work, of course you go back and discuss. But if it does work, you shut your mouth and you don't break the solidarity between the workers. I think, was it someone else who asked what happened to John Doe?
I'm not sure what that was about. I think it was someone else.
Ah, that was on the Ezra server, yeah. So, John Doe was someone who committed suicide. He was a very good Marxist. He was called Drinking with a Marxist.
Oh, that video. Okay.
And he made a very good video on democratic centralism.
Hey, how you doing, guys? You know me, of course, I'm John Doe. And I really hope that...
And he's from Japan, or was from Japan. Yeah, we were discussing if he really committed suicide, and in the title of a news report it said he did commit suicide, but nowhere else it said he committed suicide. So, yeah. And he talks about exactly what I said. Anarchists don't like this final decision. They don't like it that you just have this one time where you talk about it. And they have a very big issue with this. And this is exactly what this stupid fucking shit motherfucking crap climate movement would have needed. They would have needed democratic centralism. Imagine how organized and fast they would have been with decision making. One vote, one discussion, and then you don't break workers' solidarity.
Right.
Yeah. I can tell you now exactly. Just a second. So, they had work group Future and Science, work group Finance, and work group Activism, and other groups. So it was kind of organized a bit like the councils, but still it's a piece of shit, that model. You can't have consent democracy. That's an anarchist concept, and I mean, I've spoken with people who've defended this system, and they said, well, yeah, with a fascist, of course, you wouldn't be debating with the fascist, and you wouldn't let him vote, or he wouldn't get all the power. But I mean, if a fascist comes, if this is a national system, if that would be implemented in Switzerland, and it was around 300 people, by the way, which were there. If that were implemented, that kind of system, and the fascists decide, no, we do not want to protect Jews' rights, or we do not think that that Jews should have the right for whatever, then they would just do the X. And even though they are a minority, they have the absolute power. Yeah, that's why I think... That's my story of why I think consent democracy is garbage. Or consent democracy is garbage, and here's why.
Most ordinary people would agree that consensus democracy is extremely inefficient and easily thwarted.
Yeah. I'm not sure how we even came on the climate movement. I was just talking about incompetence.
I think we started by talking about right-wing climate denial and the like.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, so now you kind of see like the problem. And the problem is they don't allow parties, like they don't work together with parties. And I even planted with them locally in Switzerland a tree, and like in Uster, and it was fucking... They ruined the Bella Ciao song. They spoke about... I mean, they sang in their song, oh, if we just try to be for a better future, we'll achieve a better future, and it was fucking hippie kind of shit, and the people organizing there were hippie kind of shit, and it was like very... Even old women were there. It was like students and old women and Christians, like the church kind of Christians.
Okay.
So it's like very communal.
that by itself wouldn't be a bad thing. It's just
if you look closer, at that thumbnail, you can see how happy I am doing this.
Yeah. Okay.
Pretty disappointed, but I was probably just looking if it's filming my camera. But
what are you doing? Planting trees?
yeah, one tree in Uster, and they sang and they hung leaflets on the tree, and I had hopes in this movement that maybe I can make it more Marxist, and it was fucking. I mean, when these kind of people show up, you know, the movement, it's not gonna go anywhere. Like anarcho kind of punks and such. I mean, what are you gonna expect? What is this movement gonna achieve? If you don't look professional, I mean, I looked professional. I would say I look professional. If you don't look professional and don't do politics like Caleb Maupin does, I don't think the climate movement will convince the average Swiss conservative that climate is a problem and that we have to change something. And by singing songs, bringing your own food and baking vegan fucking bread and vegan stuff and disgusting vegan soup. No, the soup wasn't disgusting, but I have had vegan soup which was disgusting. If that special guy is listening, which he did the soup for us. But I mean, things like that, that's not efficient. I mean, what is that gonna do? Oh, hey, we planted one tree which has pieces of paper with nice messages on it. How if the world just works together, we can achieve something better. If we, it's that kind of shit.
It sounds like something designed for younger children.
It's weak. It's what I call weak. It was incredibly weak what we did there. We should be doing radical stuff. We should be extremely radical about this stuff. I mean, climate change is an important problem, and you should have been more radical. We should have fucking, I don't know, burnt the government building because they passed a anti-climate change law or something like that. And they always say, oh, and because they have like demands, like by 2050 or something.
I mean, I wouldn't advocate like the kind of insurrectionary property damage, but
no, it was more like an example, of course.
A hyperbolic example.
Like on that level of radical.
Okay.
Like strike on an, like make an entire airport strike, something like that. That would be so fucking efficient, because it would cost the owners of the. Although I think on the airport is now Chinese owned, so maybe we shouldn't do it because Daddy Xi is gonna take care of everything. Like China has bought up a few Swiss airports and such, but like making that kind of damage, financial damage because workers striked, that would be efficient, that would work, that would harm them, that would show them how serious we are. But they go, oh, and if you don't what means that füllen, to fill up a drink, but with our demands, to fill up our demands, to meet our demands. They say if you don't meet our demands, pardon?
To satisfy your demands?
Yeah, to meet or satisfy our demands. If the government doesn't do that, then we have to get bad. And they said that like in a very nice way, like then we have to get bad, or like, then we have to get not so nice, is what they basically said. And like, what does that message being not so nice anymore, or less nice, signal to the average Swiss conservative? I mean, first of all, we know there are a bunch of left-wing hippies. Second of all, they know that the USO, the Socialist Youth Switzerland, the youth party of the Social Democratic Party, is in there active. Like, this is weak. Saying that you're gonna be not so nice is weak. You have to be radical with this, is what I'm saying. But like, maybe I am just, maybe this is just typical first world problems of the first worldist, while you here in the US don't even have a climate change movement, and I'm just complaining how weak it is.
I mean, we have one, but it's not. It doesn't have a lot of teeth, I gotta say.
Yes, I think ours should have more teeth. That is what I wanted to say. Do you agree with me, or do you think it's good the way it is?
In general, yes. I think all of the movements that are, well, all of, there needs to be more development of a mass base for demands like that, and they need to be prepared to take extreme measures like a real general strike,
or even that workers will lose their jobs, because that's going to happen with strikes. With illegal strikes, you will lose your job. They have to be prepared that is going to happen.
Yeah, so I guess more people have to be brought to understand that things are at that point.
Yeah.
That this is a necessary step.
Yeah. But you know what they instead do? They go on the streets on a demonstration, jump up and down like little kids and scream, climate, what do they scream? It's getting too warm, it's something French, on est plus chaud. And they just jump up and down like little kids, and I mean, is jumping up and down and not going to school gonna... I mean,
I think as a part of a wider phenomenon, a school strike would be helpful. If you could get
every week.
I mean, if you could get if you could get workers and older students and younger students and, well, you know, everybody who has a stake in this to unite around one action and one mass demand, I think that could be really effective.
Well, you know, the thing is, they did these strikes on times where I was working, like in the afternoon. Like,
right.
And who doesn't work in the afternoon?
Yeah.
Let's think. Who doesn't work in the afternoon?
Students.
Yeah. They applied it to students' time, which is ridiculous, and they had to make an extra demonstration for the weekends so people... And I mean, what's in the point of the strike? Like... I am kind of contradicting myself, because I'm first of all complaining that they made it during student times, yes, and in the second sentence I'm complaining that they also did it on weekends, so people who work. But like, this is not how a strike works. You don't just not go to school every Friday, or a strike. I mean, what even is school strike? Like, who the fuck cares that children don't go to school? Certain, like, the big corporations are not gonna care about this.
I mean, it would have to happen in such a way that it actually interferes with their operations.
Yeah, like if it would take years and years and years, and it would run down the quality of the workers, and they couldn't employ anyone.
Or if they were demonstrating in a place that had a significant amount of traffic, for example.
What, you mean like the IWW when they blocked a bus stop where Louder with Crowder was with them, and it was totally ridiculous what they did.
Yeah, I mean, there are right ways and wrong ways
I
to do that kind of
I can
thing.
look the video up for you if you want.
Yeah, I mean, there are right ways and wrong ways to do that kind of thing.
Have you seen that video of Louder with Crowder?
I don't really watch a lot of Steven Crowder.
Yeah, no, like we looked at the left wing. I mean, me and my comrade, especially also in the US, and we both think more or less the same thing about this left in the United States. You know, the screaming around, trigger lip puff kind of shit. Where I mean, trigger lip puff, that's just having a tantrum, and having a tantrum is in no movement good. Like, that's not professional. If your public speaker gets triggered because they use the word Führerschein, which is a male word for having your driver's license.
Okay.
So we would have to say a driving license, not a driver's license.
And so Führer, it would be like a masculine portion of the word? Is that...
I actually think... let me think. I forgot the word, what I said. Can you repeat it?
I think you said Führerschein?
Oh, yeah, okay. Driving license. Well, is the driving license a feminine word? I don't know. I think it's a gender-neutral word.
Which is why they would want it.
Yeah. That's why they would want that you say the driving license instead of the driver's license. Because the driver, I mean, isn't that male? The driver?
Yeah, I mean,
Wait.
I'm asking you.
I mean, it is in German male to say the driver.
Have that kind of, we don't have that kind of a gender dynamic in English unless you have the word man in something, like a fireman.
Huh.
Whereas folks
so it would be a driving
now.
man. Does that make sense? The
Sure.
driving man's license instead
I guess it would
of
be
the
okay.
driving person's license.
Okay. Yeah, like, you know, I guess it's kind of like the fireman versus firefighter.
By the way, I now found the point where they block a bus, and it's like totally ridiculous. I think if you just press play it, yeah, it just jumps to that point. And it's so ridiculous. Oh, you have to skip to around... Oh no. It comes up in a few seconds. And like they made the bus driver late, they made everyone in the bus late, And I think that kind of tactics to block a bus. I mean,
I hate his voice so much. I'm sorry. Hang on. I could barely hear you over his loud ass voice.
Well, I mean, he's right here. That it's ridiculous.
Yeah, the labor movement in the United States is not what it once was.
Does the CPUSA disrupt like local buses and such? Like, does this kind of...
I don't know the nature of CPUSA's like labor actions.
Mm-hmm.
I know that they have like connections with various AFL-CIO unions.
You mean various leftist groups? Because our party does have that too.
I mean like actual official trade unions.
Oh. Good connections or bad connections?
Like long-time historic connections. And I would argue
historic connections or active good connections? Because you can have like they were connected for a long time.
They have current connections.
Okay. Because we do not have too strong connections, but I don't even like saying we anymore, because I don't really feel part of that party anymore, to be honest. And I think when a party doesn't represent your interest anymore, you automatically don't feel part of that party anymore.
Sure. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is really, one thing is the nostalgia in the party, where people think, yeah, we can convince people that Stalin was good, no problem, because we're totally gonna win when we speak like it's 1917, and like walk around like with Soviet Union flag. That's totally gonna work out, isn't it, here in Switzerland, where there's been years and years of anti-communism, and we want to preach a new system which doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the Soviet Union, but
yeah, you want to move forward, and emphasize the moving forward.
Do you know
more than looking back?
Yeah. Do you know the Belgian movement?
You've shared some of their materials with me. Yes.
Oh, have I given you that book?
Yeah, I haven't finished it yet.
Oh, you already started reading it.
Yeah,
don't say the name of it. Don't say the name of it, because I don't want to give it to everyone. It's like, imagine if a Trotskyist has that book. Not very nice, is it?
Well, I haven't gotten far enough in it to say one way or the other. But yeah, you've shown me some interesting pictures and the like of what they've been up to.
Yeah, that's the kind of movement I want to build up. It looks professional, it looks modern, it's not fanning around about, ooh, we need to gender everything, ooh, we need to talk constantly about trans people, because trans people is totally the majority of Switzerland, isn't it? No, it's not. And
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't overemphasize the rejection of that dynamic, but you know.
Well, I mean,
at the same time, you probably should gear most of your attention toward working class interests. It's in the interest of everyone.
Yeah. Totally.
While also being like anti-racist, anti-sexist, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, all the trans people, all the left-wing, trans-supporting, feminists and such, I mean, our party does it, other parties do it, the Green Party does it. I think even the Liberal Party does it. Like with liberal, I don't necessarily mean the Social Democrats. I can also mean the libertarian, as you call them. So they all do it, and like, we don't want to fish in the same fucking pond. Like, why should we try to convince some trans person that Swiss patriotism is good and that we need a strong professional looking, and I mean with professional looking, I'm sorry, but have you seen, like, what does a feminist look like? A stereotypical feminist.
Well, I guess the question is whether we're asking about
I'm a feminist, but I'm not looking like a liberal anarchist with blue hair and
you're not you don't really present yourself as a stereotype.
Yeah, well they do, and that's a problem. And I mean, we don't want to look like we're the trans movement, because not that trans people are bad or anything, but I mean, what is the average conservative worker gonna think if a trans man or trans woman is gonna come and, like, present us, where we on purpose say that we respect trans people and such, but we don't put all our effort in trans issues, or like all our focus. Like, they're gonna think, oh, we wanna gender everything, oh, we wanna censor them, oh, we're just this kind of liberal social justice, Triggerly-Puff crying around about every little thing. That's what they're gonna think.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah.
But is the Swiss right wing, is it considered popular among the working class?
Is it considered popular to be right wing as the working class? Is
the right wing party, or the right wing parties, are they popular with the working class in Switzerland?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can see why this is a dynamic.
Like, why do we want to convince left-wingers when we want to convince the working class? I mean, sorry, but the working class, which works on the building site 12 hours a day, comes home with a backache, I think even more, probably more. Yeah, no, probably around 12 hours. Start early in the morning with a broken back. I mean, they might pay for a prostitute or something, or throw a old pizza. Those cheap pizzas.
Like a frozen pizza.
Yeah, throw a frozen pizza quick in the microwave, lay on the bed and just fall asleep. Do you think they care about trans rights? Do you think they care about sorry, not trans rights, trans issues? Do you think they want to go and gender everything, talk in gender neutral words? No, they don't care about this. Clearly not. What they do care about is their work. Because, I mean, if we can make their workplace better, maybe even that they don't come home, fall asleep and maybe just buy a prostitute, that they might just have some time to go out and have a jog, or maybe meet some friends.
Or join a communist party.
Well, that's the other thing. Not necessarily, and I wouldn't say the Communist Party anymore, but maybe Proletariat Switzerland. But I wouldn't necessarily say join the party, but at least know that it's there, maybe support it financially, maybe join it, yeah, or maybe just vote for it. Like, know that it's there.
Or at least start organizing themselves.
Yeah, because I mean, we can't convince everyone to join the party, or like we're gonna have people who are not gonna be part of the party. We're gonna have inactive people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough sell.
Yeah.
And
but I mean, Caleb Maupin is doing a different strategy of what we're doing here in Switzerland, because what we will try here is to not constantly speak about socialism and such. And I mean, generally, not everyone needs to know our goals. Like, do we need to tell this reporter now what we exactly want? Like, we can just say we want to make the country better. For the there's a Swiss word for workers which is called Bürzer. You might have seen that in some of my essays, and that is because, or in the positions of proletariat Switzerland, that is because that's a very Swiss word, and it's also used by the right. So it's like, it's the word working class, but in a Swiss way.
Could you type the word for me?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
It means like someone, the stitcher.
Okay.
And to bürz, to stitch, is basically to work.
Okay.
You can also say Knüttler, which also is a very, that's like what building site workers would say when they have to work. They say Knüttler. That's, I don't even know how to describe that. That's like maybe rattling on something. It's very primitive in a way,
like hammering or
I don't even know what. I'm just assuming it's like rattling a key or something is more or less Knüttler, or
okay.
Wait. Ah, it means hitting. Okay.
Oh, so like hammering.
Knüttler. Yeah, hit someone. Aha, it's like hitting. Okay. Yeah, it's like these kind of words, and we use these words because those are our words. Because with these words, we can reach certain people, and the Bürzer, that is someone. That's a worker. That's. I mean, there is always a kind of hatred towards the rich, like to say, the Bonzen. There's not even an English word, I think, for that. It's like a bond is a not nice way. Wait, let me see if I find an English word for that. Is thump a word, or pound? Wait.
A thump?
Is that a word?
Like,
thump?
Thump is like a noise, like. Like.
That doesn't mean a rich person, does it?
Not in English.
Wait, let me. There we go. The big shots. Does that mean anything? Probably not.
Yeah, like a big shot is just like a boss.
Yeah.
Or a very important person, a VIP.
And is that a nice way of saying the rich person when you say the big shot? The big shots? So we would go and say like, yeah, that's where the big Bonzen, that's where the that's the Bonzen Viertel.
It can go either way, but it's more of a slang word.
Our word Bond is a very like a word which is down-putting. It Degrading.
So
It's a
so it's an
degrading word.
insult.
Yeah, it's kind of like an insult. It's a kind of insulting way. I think a degrading way is better. It's a degrading way of calling a rich person a rich person.
Okay.
So and that's also a kind of right
So
wing.
so it's like saying it's the man who thumps everyone,
Kind of, yeah.
who pounds everyone down.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
And it's the guy with the rich car, which owns this big business and doesn't like. I don't even know what people think when they think of a Bond, except of a rich person, like a spoiled rich person probably. But I mean, they can't imagine that they haven't worked hard, in quotation marks, of course, because I mean, they don't know the thing about surplus value extraction and everything. I don't even think the average Swiss citizen knows how a business works. Like, it
Really?
works through the exploitation of the worker. That is obvious. Like, the capitalist obviously earns more money because the worker works for that money. Like, it's not the capitalist who works hard, it's the worker who works hard. And we know this as Marxists. But
Yes.
maybe people know this, but in some cases I just heard that they justify it. Well, the capitalist has built the business and stuff like that. And I don't know if you saw this debate with libertarian Mafioda, where I discussed with him when he was in jail.
I think I looked a little bit at it.
Yeah, well, I made this argument that I would pay him as a fisher, and he would fish for me, and I would give him a certain amount of money. And the thing was, I've had this before with libertarians, and that is... Wait, can you just say something quick?
Sure.
Oh,
Here we go.
okay, it's still recording, okay. And the thing is, I had this before with libertarians, where you would explain that they are being exploited, but they don't care about it. And then they try to justify it and say, well, yeah,
I chose to be
capitalists...
exploited.
Hmm?
I chose to be exploited.
Yeah, no, like the capitalist pays for the material, the capitalist built up the business, and they don't even see, like, you know when Professor Wolf explained how something which isn't the capitalist suddenly becomes property of the capitalist, even though he hasn't worked for it.
Yeah, they didn't mine the gold. They didn't smelt the gold, but by some alchemy, all the gold belonged to them. It's Big Bill Haywood.
This Wolf explains how capitalism is theft. You should actually probably make like a short clip and send this, like...
Yeah.
Maybe make it a meme? That would be possible. For propaganda purposes.
Perhaps.
Like, it explains very quickly how with surplus value extraction, something which actually the worker made suddenly becomes that of the capitalist, and additionally he sells that, and if he would give him all that money because the worker made it, the capitalist wouldn't earn anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I encountered that even when you explain that to libertarian Mafioda or other libertarians, they still don't get it. Like, or they don't care about it.
And is it the kind of dynamic where it's like, well, if I were there in their position, I would do the exact same thing?
No, I think it's more like they just don't understand why it's a problem.
Interesting.
That's because they haven't. I mean, maybe I'm just spoiling now your Marxist course.
Nah, yeah, it's one of those things that gets more and more evident the longer
You become.
you
Yeah, the longer you are a
the
communist.
longer you have to work in order to eat.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's more like the longer I've been a communist, the more obvious things suddenly seem to me. Like ages ago, I couldn't explain, for instance, that with the surplus value extraction, but now it's something. It's so incredibly obvious that I don't even need to look it up anymore. I can just explain it, and I won't forget things like, yeah, maybe the capitalist decides to sell it at a lower price or at a higher price. I just know that. Probably because
Yeah,
I had so many discussions with people.
I mean, like working in fast food restaurants and retail giants like Walmart. It's like it's the kind of thing that's a slow burn if you start out as somewhat like I there were jobs where I sort of I kind of sort of was starting to understand the problems with capitalism in like a nugget form, but actually working, it just made it it slowly made it more and more evident, especially working as like one of the lower wage workers.
Yeah.
And it's and I think that's a common story for a lot of the younger leftists in at least in my country.
Yeah.
It's like the more they have to work, the more they realize, well, how capitalism fucks us all over.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, with our tactics, we're just gonna see what happens, and I guess maybe if it doesn't work out, I would go back to my party and try to convince everyone that Stalin was good. But I doubt whether that will work. And of course, I'm not so sure about my own tactics and everything. Might work, might not work. Who knows?
You are breaking up a bit.
Oh. I don't know. Maybe my tactic won't work. Maybe their
Can't
tactic.
quite hear you.
Really? Is it better now? Hello?
Okay, that's better.
Okay. So when I bend my back that I get a backache, you can hear me.
Oh, okay.
No, I think it's better now. I can sit up. I have a good microphone. You should hear me now.
Yes, I hear you.
Okay. Probably I was a bit mumbling. What I was saying is, maybe if my plan doesn't work out, I mean, I'm still at the moment part of my party, so I just then continue probably my party, admit that I've been wrong, that maybe nostalgia will help us convince the working class, although I really doubt that will help. But who knows?
Are they just not budging on that front?
I mean, I brought it to the how do you say that in German? To the local party section congress.
Okay.
Like we have like like to the local party committee, which is a few people, and they discuss things which are brought up by the members, and I brought up the anti-nostalgia is breaking years and years of party work, and they disagreed with me. They thought posting a picture of the Soviet Union on Victory Day as the party account. Didn't I send you this before? As the party account is okay, and I just think a modern party shouldn't be posting pictures about the Soviet Union like it's 1917. I mean, if we want to, oh my god! And now they did a meme. Ugh. Yeah, I'm really not happy anymore with the way it goes. Like, a modern party which even aspires to do what they done in Belgium, because the secretary had actually the same idea. I mean, it was originally he brought me to that party in the first place. I mean, to that Belgium, introduced me to that Belgium book and everything. And I mean, what exactly are we doing except the opposite of progress when we're posting pictures like that? Like we're fucking in the 1930s and you think, oh no, Stalin is about to come and the Bolsheviks.
Yeah,
and
you look like a foreign-owned party or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like not only a foreign-owned party, but like a party running with a hinterherrennen, to run blindly behind a system which already failed. Like, why would you post the Soviet Union pictures like that if you want to present yourself as a modern party? And I mean, that way we just make ourselves look like some nostalgic small group which posts Viva la Revolution and workers of the world unite and
it's like you're chasing after departed glory.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't want to be part of this. I'm sorry. I made a lot of actually. I made these cards here, which I wanted to make it look professional. But they have like a work group, just like the climate movement. They have like a work group called the media group, and I basically told them that I'm not bothering anymore, because I actually speak now a lot more open about the party than before. Normally I would always be careful, but I care less and less now.
I see.
There was like the Fische scandal, which is a scandal where the Swiss government collected years and years of left-wingers and left-wing sympathizers, detailed information, and they stalked them. The government stalked those people, surveillanced them, basically what the NSA is doing, and it was a huge scandal when they found those documents. And I wanted to make a video about this, and I prepared it before Corona, around 3 weeks or so, and then I gave them, I think, 2 weeks to look at the script, and they didn't even look at the fucking script, which I worked so long on. And in the end I had a half botched criticism of, oh well, you shouldn't use so many Wikipedia quotations. And I just thought, you know what, go fuck yourself. If I've worked on this so long and you just say, fuck your work, we're not even looking at it, we're not even gonna bother. It was a clique. That's how do you explain that? That's like a group of...
Yeah, we have that word in English as well.
What's that word?
Got it from the French. Clique.
Oh, yeah, they behaved like a clique, in my opinion. And the things that I brought there weren't even really... they didn't even really listen anymore. And it's just like... I don't really feel involved anymore in this party and even connected. Even though they are Swiss even though they are national-wide, like every section has their own little party logo. Every section has their own type of goal of socialism, and it's like that shouldn't be. There should be one goal, one party. Like it should be. The goal should be Swiss socialism, and maybe with Swiss characteristics depending on the conditions. It shouldn't be, oh, we want to overcome capitalism, but we don't know exactly what, and we don't have a clear goal, and it's blah blah blah, and it's just leading nowhere, and everyone does a little bit themselves, and I mean they can't even agree on a fucking party logo, which is ridiculous. I mean, sorry. A party with different party logos. What the hell is going on with this party? This party is not capable of running even a government. I mean, imagine if they couldn't decide on a government logo. So each one has just their own logo. It's kind of like that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a great dynamic.
Yeah. I might even leave the party just because they're... I mean, I think they're doing this now on purpose, posting nostalgia. Like, I mean, here with Ho Chi Minh and all that crap.
Yeah. Do you think they would be angry about all of this showing up in a podcast video?
I don't give a fuck. If they complain, I say, you know what, this is my private thing, and I speak openly about the party. If you don't like it, you can go suck one. I don't care. Not my problem. And if I get kicked out for this, I mean, what kind of party is this where you can't even speak about fucking problems like...
They'd probably tell you you're violating democratic centralist principles.
We don't even have democratic centralism. It's ridiculous. It's really fucking ridiculous.
It sounds like you've got a bit of a... It sounds like you've got a bit of a quandary on your hands.
What do you mean by that? On one side I have the students, which are totally liberal, and then on the other side we have the totally nostalgic, or what?
Well, yeah, that, and like, is there even like another party you could work with?
Which is anti-nostalgia? No, I mean, even the Trotskyists are nostalgic. I thought about maybe the Mao Zedong party, but I mean, the Mao Zedong party, imagine how dogmatic and Mao Zedong said this, Mao Zedong said that, and therefore it is like that.
Basically, every left-wing party that
and also,
you have near you is a bunch of fetish, like a cult fetishists or something.
Yeah, kind of. Like there are anarchists groups, and you can't work with those anarchist groups. Forget it. Especially not if we're coming with patriotism. Forget it. Oh, yeah. A worker doesn't have a country. That's what the Trotskyists say, and then the anarchists go and say Antinationale Solidarität, which means anti-national solidarity. And it's
interesting.
Just a fuck up, a complete fuck up. And I think it would do very good if proletariat Switzerland will become a populist popular party, which doesn't contain all of that nostalgia bullshit, which doesn't contain all of that liberal bullshit,
or at least doesn't lead with the nostalgia anyway.
And lead with liberal bullshit. Yeah. Like, I mean, they posted a picture of Ho Chi Minh, probably with Soviets.
Who is he with anyway?
This party's pretty. I mean, you probably would be right. Like, if that was a US party, it would probably be quite good. But, I mean, here, who are you gonna win? Who are you gonna win by posting Ho Chi Minh?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's like I mean, I'm not sure what the history of Switzerland with regards to any of I don't know, with any of the conflicts between like the capitalist West and any of the Cold War stuff, really. I mean,
This is the Belgic. I mean, he's not wearing a suit, but where do you see nostalgia? You see just zero nostalgia. That's a party I would join.
I guess move to Belgium.
Or just move straight up to China, then I won't have that bullshit. Then I can say, you know what, fuck it, I'll just write essays and become an internet communist. And I don't know, enjoy Xi Jinping's rule.
Interesting.
Okay, I mean the rule of the Chinese Communist Party, not Xi Jinping, but enjoy
Well, he
Xi
is the
Jinping's
president.
work and Xi Jinping's efforts. I mean, it's not that I don't have that as a backup plan if like communists are haunted here in Switzerland and I'm completely fucked over. I do plan of escaping to China, or
Well, that part you might not want to talk about on a public podcast.
that I would flee to China. I mean, I would, because I mean, at least I'd have a government there which cares about me. Like during crisis times, do you think the government in Germany, the government in the government in Switzerland might just, but if it's the end of capitalism, the government won't give a fuck, and if then fascism is already widespread and we can't convince them or anything, I mean, what else is there to do? Unless we join fascism and have a... No, I mean, you can't even have fascism and not capitalism. You'd still have then capitalism then. Like...
Yeah, it's very authoritarian capitalism.
Or maybe I could become the leader and then introduce socialism and just call it National Socialism.
I think you probably your days would be numbered at that point.
Yeah, probably I would end like Strasser or something.
Yeah. Get knifed.
Knifed?
Like
backstab.
Like the like the Night of the Long Knives.
What is that?
I don't know what the name is in German.
Do you mean with the Jews? What
no, that was
called?
Kristallnacht.
Oh yeah.
It was basically Hitler's party purge, I think.
Oh, yeah, it would probably end like that. And sadly, I would be purged and not the bad ones.
Well, yeah. But probably joining a fascist party shouldn't even be on your short list.
Well, according to the anarchists, I'm probably already part of a fascist party, and what I'm gonna do is make an even more fascist party, because oh my god, they're patriotic. How bad is that?
Right.
Red painted fascist. Or, no, red lacqueerd. That means
Oh, red lacquered.
What does lacquered mean? Like what women do with their nails.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, red lacquered fascist. I've been called this before. It's like so incredible. Like, how stupid can you be? Yeah, rotlackierter Faschist. I could probably find you a screenshot of an anarchist saying that to me. I probably still have to chat even. Yeah.
Well, our conversation has been kind of all over the place, hasn't it?
Yeah. I just wanted to ask, do you think there's gonna be CPI doing tabling?
Well, I think that'll all depend on...
I would like to see that. Imagine, because everyone from the CPI will be in suits, that is clear. And I would like to see high professional people in suits tabling. Imagine how that looks.
Honestly, that would look pretty great.
Yeah.
I'm wondering who we would gear this tabling toward, I suppose.
Well, it would just be like the Trotskyists. Have you heard of our newspaper? Do you have them in the United States? They sell their little booklet and it costs a fortune. And they go like,
well,
have you heard of our newspaper?
Caleb's always talking about how he got his start selling the Workers' World newspaper.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they always go and sell newspapers. That's how it works. Because I think Trotsky did that, didn't he?
I don't know, actually.
I think so. I think... Maybe not.
All I know is when he came to America, he didn't tip anybody.
What do you mean?
When he'd eat in a restaurant, he would never tip the waiters.
Really?
From what I understand, that's the stories anyway.
Well, he probably didn't have that much money.
I don't know.
Wait, why do people know that he didn't tip people unless he bragged about this? Like,
yeah, I think he made it like a fake revolutionary thing.
Oh, okay.
Like,
well,
you should be fighting for revolution. You don't need my tip. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think here in Switzerland, I barely tip. Like, but I know that here in the United States, you're like, if you don't,
our waiters, I imagine waiters and waitresses are better paid over there.
I think so, yeah, because, and I mean, I've been to there was like a Zurich festival, and it cost a fucking fortune. It was incredible. Like,
yeah, over here, waiters and waitresses get way less than minimum wage.
Yeah, they depend on
they have to supplement the difference with tips.
Yeah. And like the capitalist expects that they have tips.
Yeah.
So then, women have to show more of themselves, probably, to get more tips.
I imagine it wouldn't hurt for most of them. It's not an explicit dynamic, but they are supposed to be all smiles and very subservient.
And tits out and everything, and big lipstick and everything, trying to look as attractive as possible to get a tip.
Yeah. I mean, depends.
With tits out, just a bra where you can see a lot, of course. I don't mean...
Yeah,
like an over-sexualized dress.
I don't know that it's an explicit dynamic, but I think it's more overt in places like the restaurant Hooters.
What are Hooters?
Oh, well, so in English, Hooters is a slang term for breasts.
Ah, okay.
But this logo is like this restaurant chain. It's like
It's called
they have the women wearing tight T-shirts with the logo of the restaurant, and the logo is like this owl hiding with the spectacles made out of the two O's in Hooters. And it's so yeah, that in a restaurant
That's
like
a
that,
clever- that's a clever thing,
it's a very
but-
obvious dynamic.
Yeah. Have you seen South Park where Butters goes in that restaurant with those over-sexualized girls, and he thinks he has
I
a
have not
girlfriend
seen
in
that
there,
episode,
and he
no.
goes there constantly because he thinks it's his girlfriend.
I have not seen that episode. No.
But I just imagine it's probably something like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, at least on paper, these restaurants are supposed to have a much more egalitarian policy towards their wait staff, but I don't know how that works out. Waiting tables is one of the things I've never done.
You mean like bringing the dish back?
Like bringing the food out, bringing the dishes back, that sort of thing.
Or have you been a waiter?
I have not.
Have you worked in a restaurant before?
I did. I worked for McDonald's once upon a time.
Oh, God.
And I also worked in a sandwich shop. That was less prominent. Sort of similar to Subway, but more of a local chain.
I've actually... Wait, let me think. I mean, I've done like Schnuppertage, which is like where you go, day of the open door, where you go to a company and you just look at the company and, oh, maybe I want to be that in the future, that kind of thing I've done. But apart from IT, I would say, or like little jobs at a yeah, I mean I've done like cashier at a relative's thing, but I mean that's about it. Like apart from IT, I haven't really like worked at McDonald's or anything, so like I wouldn't even necessarily say I have that kind of stereotypical working class experience, which probably you have, like working at a McDonald's or something.
Yeah, I guess.
How long did you work there?
For a summer.
Oh. Have you studied, or have you done high school or something, or are you also a worker?
I have a bachelor's degree in history.
Oh. And what do you do with that bachelor's degree in history?
Jack shit.
That's what I kind of assume, like with the Swiss students. They go like for, oh yeah, I wanna learn about pictures of the 17th century. Like, how are you gonna make money with that? Like, I mean, it's great that you wanna learn that.
Yeah, I mean, I tried going to law school, but that didn't work out.
Law school?
Yes.
Oh.
I only did that for about a year.
So, that's kind of off topic, but do you read a lot?
Do I read the law? No, well,
a lot.
A lot?
Yeah.
Yes. At least I did more. Now that I'm...
Like Marxist books and
I read a lot more when I didn't have so much internet time.
You mean like Discord and such?
Yeah, like I used to read books a lot more than I do now. Now all my reading is on the internet.
Do you read PDFs?
Less than I should. Like when Caleb talks about, oh, people download, hundreds of PDFs that they've never read. He's absolutely right, and I'm an example.
Do you download PDFs and never read?
Oh yeah, I've downloaded tons of classic socialist works that I've started and never finished.
Well, I have tons of books that I've started and never finished.
Yeah.
And like now, currently with the Discord going on and everything, I'm like not motivated at the moment to read. But I think as soon as I'll start working again, I'll be suddenly in the train with my book, and I'll start reading. Because in the train I always read, or used to always read, and that worked. And it's like I have thought about it before, to just sit in the train just so I can read, because at home, like, I don't want to read at home because it's not comfortable for some reason. Maybe I just need to stand while I'm reading. That could be because I normally stand in the train.
I mean, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, like, and I noticed this trend. I mean, I'm now sadly new a part also of this trend, that people don't like to read. Like to read books. I've noticed this in many communists. And I mean, videos is a good way to learn, but it's limited. If you want to learn about the Swiss history of the working class, then you have a fat fucking book, which I have, about the weight of a full folder, like a file folder. It's about that heavy.
Yeah, it's hard to interact in a critical way with a video, I think. Harder to do that with a video than with a book.
I think with the video you can criticize more than with a book.
Interesting.
Because when you write a book, you're gonna have. I mean, no one is gonna go. Page 10 is incorrect, and they write to the author, hey, I think on page 10 you made a mistake. But on videos, people are gonna dissect that shit, pull out the timestamps, complain about something that it wasn't maybe.
I guess it's with reading. Reading is hard to do passively.
You mean for a long time?
But you can passively watch a video.
What do you mean by passively? You mean disciplined reading?
Like if you're going to get anything out of reading, you have to actually pay attention to what you're reading.
Yeah.
And whereas you can, I think you can get at least a little bit out of a video if all you're doing is just sort of listening to it, and doing something else.
Yeah. I mean, I do take tablets so I can concentrate, because I have ADHD. Might have already noticed.
Oh, you too, huh?
Oh. Yeah, and like, without tablet, if I want to learn something, like, for instance, when I was watching that video about Marxist-Leninism, Maoism, and explanation, I had to really look at the video, because it's, like, theoretical, but when it's, like, Caleb Maupin talking about the world, it's easier to listen to Caleb Maupin than to listen to an audio book about Marx or something, of Marx, like for me at least. And like, I mean, with my ADHD, without taking my tablet, I read about 10 times the same page, and then on the next page forget what I was reading, like what exactly I was reading, not like what book I was reading, but what exactly part is now going on. And it's like really hard. And I've made this test. I've massively tested with a psychologist on my tablets, and I really realized if I am on tablets, I can read 26 pages, maybe around an hour or something. And if I don't, it's a lot less. Maybe 2 to 3 pages. It's incredible.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's funny because Discord chats, I can read Discord chats, no problem, and they can be so complicated and I can still read them. And I think it has also to do with dark mode, and I would like books with dark mode, but that sadly doesn't exist. And you can tell me now, yeah, but you could have a ebook, and yes, I actually have an ebook, but certain books can't be on there, or it's really a pain to zoom in and everything.
Right.
Yeah. And another problem I encounter when I read books is that I always feel like I'm gonna get a backache soon. And
I think with Discord chats, there's always the there's always the chance of something new being said. There, so you can keep scrolling down, and there'll be something you haven't read before.
You mean
and
it's more interesting?
Like it's maybe it might be more stimulating for the brain in that sense. Like you're getting this kind of high off of searching for something new to read.
Like a junkie.
Kind of, yeah.
But yeah, I know. But I mean, if you think about it, this person which is on Discord 24 hours. Okay, I'm not gonna talk further because maybe I've been very long on Discord now. But like, you imagine this person just scrolling up and down, looking. Oh, is there something new? But what I normally have when I'm reading a book is like, I don't know what is going on in the world. Like, is anyone going to message me? I have to constantly check my phone. Like, now I'm in control. I can see a message come in. Okay. But if I don't have that, I have to constantly check, is my phone going off or anything? And about the backache and such, because some books are really heavy to hold, I'm actually going to buy for around 200 francs or $200 a thing for retarded and old people which holds your book, where I can just lay on the bed, turn it, and then the book is above, and I think that is going to help me with reading.
Okay, you're breaking up, man.
Oh, am I breaking up again?
Yeah, at least on my end.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. What part did you hear? Didn't you hear?
I got that you were talking about something to help you read while you're lying down.
Yeah, like a book holder for retarded and old people. And I'm gonna buy that thing. I can show you a picture. Just a second. And no, really, because I can't read books without sitting uncomfortably all the time. Maybe I just read books too long, like for hours. I just sit there, and it's been making me crazy, more or less. And I'm kind of interested how like Caleb Maupin reads books, and interestingly, he reads books completely differently in a way I do.
Like he'll grab something from them for reference.
Yeah, like he just flips on a page, like looks in the what's the word? The summary,
the index?
Yeah, like he goes to the index probably, flips to that page and just reads it. And I mean, I tried that and I can't do that. It's like I tried that with one of Lenin's works, and like for instance the right to a nation's self-determination, or maybe it was the national question, something like that. But it was really hard for me. Like, I have done it once before with a crime book, like children's story crime. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, getting into Lenin is tough. Like, if you don't know if you don't know the specific historical context in which he's writing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like I tried to I got started on What Is to Be Done, and I could not make heads or tails of what he was talking about.
Me too.
Until after, I got more of the context from Caleb Maupin.
Can you send me that video? Because, frankly, I forgot what it's about.
And actually, I also got more of the context from William Z. Foster's book, History of the Three Internationals. That book has been tremendously helpful for me in terms of understanding the history of socialism. You
mean, well, what does that book exactly talk about? Doesn't it talk about the Three Internationals?
Well, yeah, it starts with like the roots of Marx and Engels' radicalism.
I thought a really good book was The Fundamentals of Marxism-Leninism.
Yeah, I haven't. I mean,
I think it was mentioned in the Ezra Discord server.
Yeah. Dust James is like reading portions of it for some YouTube videos.
Oh. Yeah, I can't watch hours and hours of live stream. That just doesn't work for me because.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's releasing like little portions of it here and there.
Oh, isn't he making like 5-hour videos?
Well, he hasn't done a lot of the book yet. He posted the introduction. I think he posted part of chapter 1.
It's really good. It talks about the brain and such, and how the worker built everything around here. Everything you look at, worker more or less made. Everything you hold, everything you wear. It really opened my eyes to how much the worker actually produces. Like, I know it subconsciously already, like, yeah, I know the worker produces everything, but to like walk in a city and just look around and see how much has been produced by workers, that's just mind-blowing. Like, at least it was for me.
I mean, if you actually sit back and think about how much everything has to have work in order to exist, at least in terms of developed society.
Yeah.
And even in undeveloped society, there's still a ton of work put into keeping it there.
Can you send me that video to What Is to Be Done? Because I was actually planning on reading that sometime, but I've done it before, and I had no idea what I was reading, so...
Yeah, I'm not sure if I have a specific video of Caleb talking about what is to be done in particular. I don't know. He talks about in some length about the movement around Lenin and what Lenin was responding to before the Russian Revolution.
He constantly talked about Iskra, I think, or something. And I had always thought, what the hell is or was it Iskra? Maybe no, it was something else. Reviskvi or something like that. I would have to look it up. But he constantly mentioned that word, and he was like comparing things, and I had no idea what he was comparing, and it was so confusing. And I thought, because what I initially heard is that book should teach you about democratic centralism. Correct?
I didn't get that far into it.
Oh, you haven't actually read it finished?
No, I got into like the first few chapters, and it was like, I had, life happened. So and I wasn't getting much out of it anyway.
Yeah, I had that with that book. I'm not even sure. I don't even remember if I read it finished or not. But what I do remember is that I used to, in class, read Lenin's books at the same time, and that was very enlightening. And for some reason, I could concentrate on both, which is incredible how I managed that. But I managed to concentrate at the same time what was going on in class, and I had like dark mode. Was very comfortable to read Lenin at the same time, and I read the State and Revolution. Then suddenly I had a discussion with a leftcom, so I read quick The Taxing Kind. So when I really need the information, I think I do read the book. Like if I feel it's necessary for me to have now this information, I need it. Maybe I don't know.
Like it's an issue with a craving, right?
Well, with my ADHD, I have the problem, first of all, a lack of craving, a lack of amphetamine, I think it's called. Amphetamine.
I'm sorry, your voice is getting broken up.
Amphetamine. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I heard amphetamine.
Yeah, like I have the lack of that already, and so like if I don't need it, like I'm not very interested. And that's the same thing actually with programming with me. When I'm working on something and I'm watching like a video tutorial how to program in Java, I don't really care. But when I'm programming Java and I have a problem, then I do fucking care, and then I look until I've found this problem.
Right. It's become urgent.
Yeah. So I'm an urgent reader.
Alright.
Probably. I wonder if that reading type exists. And you, is that the same thing with you, or?
Well, I think it manifests slightly differently. Like I'll go and devour whole Wikipedia pages full of information when I'm supposed to be doing something completely different. And,
I've done that before.
And I feel like I can't stop. You know? And it's I don't know if you've heard of the TV Tropes website.
No.
No, it's like so it's basically it's kind of like a wiki but for story type patterns.
You mean like,
I guess.
Wattpad?
Beg your pardon?
Wattpad.
No.
Oh.
Like there'll be a whole wiki page on TV Tropes about what's an example? Well, there'll be one about like a whole character in pop culture or a particular series.
Yeah.
And all the different narrative devices that are found in it, for example.
And you read
there's
that.
a page there's a page like devoted to a particular narrative device, and then it'll list all the different medias it's in.
And that interests you?
It can be, yeah, because like narrative is, as a reader in particular, the mechanics of narrative are something that interests me. And especially, when I wanted to try some kind of creative writing that I never really got into or something. But and it was also interesting for me as someone who likes to examine things critically.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, the thing is, people used to read, like the communists in the 1930s and such. In Switzerland, someone was arrested because they had Wie der Stahl gehärtet wurde, how the steel was tempered.
okay,
Have you heard of this book?
I don't think so.
It's a pro-Soviet Union fan fiction, or fiction book.
Really?
Yeah. And I know it's really bad that they got arrested just for that. It's incredible. That was like the nearly fascist time of Switzerland. But like the thing is, I think that's like 500 pages or something, that book, and I thought, why would you even read that? But then I thought, you know what? In the 1930s, during those times, you didn't actually have the internet. You didn't have Wikipedia. You didn't have other stuff to do. You had time to read books. And I would say
you were lucky if you had a television.
well, I would say you might have been actually unlucky if you had a television, because in the 1930s, communists were so educated. I would say people are maybe now less educated because they're doing less reading and more internet. Like if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, most of the media that would have been available would have been on the radio.
Yeah, but I mean, like now you have time to play games like Heyday, Clash of Clans, or be a bit on Discord with friends, spam a bit. But during those times, I mean, sure, you could go outside or such, but when you were at home, what would you do? I mean, if you're home alone, we know what you would do. But like, if you're at home, you'd read a book. Maybe listen radio if there's something on the radio. But you'd probably read a book. You probably read something of Marx. You probably read something of Lenin, because that's interesting. You can learn how the world runs. But now it's like, I would say, maybe the internet was bad for communists. This whole distraction thing.
With all like technological advances, there's always bad things and good things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, once people have to learn how to read more, they stop devoting less time to memorizing things.
What do you mean?
Like there's this whole, like in ancient Greece, when they were starting to use more tech, like when they started writing things a lot more. I think it might have been Plato who wrote something about there's this disadvantage of writing that leads people to devote less less of their minds to memorizing information that was told to them.
Yeah. Well,
like like how the epic tales would be told. So like, because you would, what originally happened was you would memorize an entire telling of a tale.
Yeah.
And maybe you'd tweak it, but most of the time you'd have to memorize how the tale was told to you.
Because you couldn't write it down.
Right. And in any case, they probably considered it better to present it as when it's devoted to memory.
Well, holy shit! Imagine if you had to memorize the capital.
Right. So there's the advantage of writing. You can present a lot more information, but the downside is that your brain is less incentivized to memorize it. And so, there's a give and take with each technological advancement. And so with the internet, we can like spread information all over the world.
Yeah.
But I think we're retaining a little less of it.
Well, what I thought about, I mean, I completely agree with you. What I thought about before is rewriting the books in a modern way. Like, because, like, some books, like from Karl Marx, for instance, they're written so old, with so old expressions, you don't even know what you're... I mean, reading Engels, Utopian and Scientific, have you read that book?
I have not.
In some cases, I didn't even know what I was reading. It was so confusing, but I knew that he was talking about the historical materialism, or more or less historical dialectics, or is it historical dialectical materialism? I don't know, but no, it's historical materialism. He was speaking about that, and the thing is, luckily I saw a video, like a 2-hour or 1-hour documentary of the Communist Party Germany, that one that we earlier talked about. You remember? Okay. They made like a video called Human with Class, Mensch mit Klasse. And that video really stuck with me, because it explained, for me actually, the first time for my life, it explained to me how the primitive person came to the Romans, to the, like, went through all these classes, and I'm not even sure, does our, like, education system, what do they teach? Because it's the only way I know. I only know through the Marxist way of teaching how the Flintstone man, I forgot the name. What's it called? The Flintstones.
They're like cavemen.
Yeah, how the caveman became do you know how it works? How Marxism analyzes?
So we go from hunter-gatherer society.
Yeah, exactly.
To I think
today. To the modern day.
Yeah, like through the agriculture and
the development
and
of productive forces and class struggle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what the liberal story of this is, because I've never learned it. I don't know, because I didn't have it in school, but like I never had it presented to me, and this was really the first time I learned this.
I think the liberal historical presentation has borrowed a lot over the years from
Marx.
Marx and from Engels, because they were kind of some of the most influential modern figures in history at this point.
But of course, they don't say that
exactly. But there's clearly a lot of influence there. I think historical materialism in particular had an influence on how we write history now.
Yeah.
But, there's also, like, the mixture of the idealism as well. Like, yes, of course, you focus on, like, material forces, like economics and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But also there's the narrative about how different ideas are in conflict, and different cultures are in conflict.
Yeah.
Which, it's not entirely wrong, but it's,
yeah,
maybe maybe it's a matter of emphasis.
I think we talked now 4 hours long.
Damn. Okay.
In total, with that quick break because my headphones stopped working.
Right.
And
you could probably get 4 videos out of that.
No, I'll just upload. I'm not gonna edit the videos because it's like, yeah. But what I should have done is filmed the outro. That would have been perfect. You know how my videos normally have an outro, and I normally spend hours just because I want to add a few minutes of a few on the video. Well, what I can just do now is probably just film the outro and that's it.
Okay. Okay.
So do you want to stop, or I mean, we have been speaking now for 4 hours and
yeah, I think I need to there's a few things I need to catch up on over here at home.
I think me too. I got a few Discord messages.
Yeah. Also, I haven't even showered today.
Oh, that's good to know. I prefer to take baths.
It's not like I haven't had anywhere to go, but you know.
I prefer baths.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Thank you very much for this, for joining my podcast.
It was my pleasure.
And yeah, have a good night. Or what time is it there?
It is now 5 p.m.
Oh, okay. It's 11 here.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So it's early evening for me, late in the night for you.
Yeah. Well, 11 p.m. is not late for me.
Fair enough.
If it's
Fair enough.
If it's around 3 a.m., that's about the time I have to go immediately to bed, because I know then I'm not gonna wake up the next morning otherwise.
Right.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Hopefully we can do this again.
Yeah.